So I was watching Inside Out last night.
Ah, man, great movie.
Yeah, it's cute.
I really like it.
It's, say what you will, but especially with Pixar, they're really clever with ways they depict things. I mean,
yeah,
obviously there's misses and stuff, but I was just sitting there and it kind of dawned on me that make a little tweaks to pretty much any Pixar movie and you can make them really, really dark.
Yeah.
But I
think there's a Reddit that does
Is there?
this. Yeah, there has to be.
I just never really thought about it. Like Inside Out, make a couple changes to that, and you got a real scary movie. I was a little stoned. And
fair enough.
I went down this rabbit hole. And I was like, maybe it's just this movie. And I was like, Monsters Inc. On paper, it is monsters attacking children for their screams.
Yeah.
Toy Story always scared me.
Did it?
Yeah, I remember I was really freaked out about my toys being alive.
You've told me this before. Yeah.
I was really freaked out about that concept.
Yeah, that's really funny. I would have loved if my toys were alive.
I would have too, but I just wanted to know. It was the paranoia of them like hiding something from me. Speak, damn you!
Why won't you talk to me, Woody?
Yeah, exactly. And I had Woody and Buzz too. So, like...
Could you imagine if Woody and Buzz, like, if toys were alive, but they're unaware of, like, a world of that's fucking Toy Story 2, god damn it. But imagine, like, in our world, Woody and Buzz watching Toy Story. That's Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I was like, sounds familiar.
All right, let's do this.
I actually think Toy Story 2 is probably one of those examples where the sequel's better.
Oh, that's an interesting conversation because I haven't seen Toy Story 2 in a very long time.
I just remember that one better. All right, this is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back, or welcome new listeners. This is TJ's Mixtape.
Hi.
Oh, wait.
Hi.
I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. We're a movie review podcast. We kind of talk about the history of film and where they came from, who made them, who started them, and then kind of just go over what the movie's about, what our feelings were, and give it a rating that is arbitrary. But that's how we end it off. So welcome back. What are we doing today, Jacob?
Darkman.
I was kind of panicking about that this whole time. And I was just kind of trying to see. No, we're doing Batman. No, wait, no, we're doing Spirit. We're doing.
I almost watched The Phantom.
Last week.
Yeah.
So yes, we're doing 1994's
The Shadow.
I'm the Shadow.
I was so disinterested in this movie.
Really?
I
dug it.
It might be because of like what the stress of my life right now.
Maybe. It's a factor.
But I had a hard time paying attention. The climax, I don't really remember. I don't think I fully paid attention through it. So
it is kind of like this whole kind of block. It has a lot of really kind of cool ideas.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool special effects wise and get concepts for things. The climax is really boring. But I thought the build-up and the creation of this world and character were very, very interesting.
That's fair. Interesting is a good word.
Interesting. I'm not going to say good. Yeah. It was interesting to be like, all right. Even the beginning, you're like, dude, what's going on?
This feels a little racist.
It was something. It was definitely something.
All right. Oh, you want to tell them what The Shadow's about?
That's a perfect segue. A former opium drug lord becomes a telepathic superhero.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Did
you do much? I didn't really, since I was running behind, I didn't really have much time to research The Shadow in a lot of detail.
I did, and I think he's now one of my favorite superheroes.
Okay, cool.
But we can get into that. But also, I just want to ask, Lamont, the Shadow. Lamont was giving me real Warriors of Virtue vibe, villainy when he was the opium dealer. With
I
the
can
long
see
hair
that.
and the
Yeah.
fingernails and the very.
Dude, he is a hairy dude. His chest.
Yeah, he's a real Robin Williams.
I was like, holy shit. What? I don't see men being that hairy anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess my follow-up question is, how often are you around the opportunity?
Well, I did work at a club where.
Are you moonlighting as something?
No, I don't know. It's just like I feel like the really like that big hairy chest, the Alec
It's a
Baldwin, the Burt Reynolds,
the Ryan Reynolds, the
Burt Reynolds.
no, the Robin Williams.
Oh, Robin, yeah,
Steve Martin.
Just in general, I don't really see.
Isn't Steve Martin one?
Yeah,
Steve Martin one. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just like it's a passing thought.
Yeah, I don't know.
As a guy that's not very hairy,
I'm not
just
very hairy either.
Yeah,
most is on my face and arms.
Yeah,
but I don't
same.
really have like one tuft.
We both have the same like tuft.
Little-
Yeah, boop, the tuft right there,
Curl
and then
it.
like fur on the belly.
Yeah, peach fuzz.
Yeah.
That was more information than anyone could have cared to know.
All right.
Yeah.
So The Shadow
The Shadow.
came out in July 1st, 1994.
Yes.
It was not really a big box office hit.
No. Budget of $40 million and grossed $48 million.
Yeah. And yeah, this for 1994, the special effects were really like shoddy. It's like some were good, some weren't.
That's the thing, though, is like I thought that when they were good, they were for how old it is, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's a cool idea for, you know, this movie's 30 years old.
When the dagger bites him in the fucking hand, I was like, this looks really bad.
I liked but that's kind of what I was saying. The concept of the dagger was cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of funny. It's really just who they tried and or could get to do it, because it's like, especially for 94, it's like there are companies out there at this time that could have done that dagger really, really well.
Yeah.
Henson Company for one of them, you know, like that could have. So it's just interesting to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things they also like talked about, or that I read about, is how this movie has like special effect VX, like visual effects in it, like that, like computer effects, but it's like a half and half between in camera and not, and computer generated.
Yeah.
And the director, I was reading like a quote, is like, we don't really consider this a computer, like an FX movie, but a movie that happens to have like a decent amount of FX in it, because it's a character driven story. And I actually do agree with that. Like, as limited as that is.
Well, and I think that it's kind of probably for this time period, it was probably the best move.
Yeah.
To do the mixture of the two.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like the Jumanji thing.
Yeah. You know, that's a good example. But Jumanji did it really well. Like,
I go back and forth with that. Like,
the only thing, we talked, I mean, that's in one of the Lost episodes, right?
yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I remember really taking me out is the monkeys. The monkeys. Were, the stampede was okay only because there was so much noise to it, so it kind of drowned out stuff.
I mean, it's both physical or like visual noise too.
Yeah. There's like a lot of.
It's so much to take in. Like, you really have to like slow it down to really,
like frame by frame kind of really notice it. The Shadow is a pulp superhero created by Walter B. Gibson.
Mm-hmm. It began as a radio show.
Yes, so
which I thought was pretty cool.
It first aired from first it was a radio show in 1930, and then so it was just a voice and a character
And the Shadow coming out from the darkness.
And the Shadow returns to thwart the evildoers and
with a thwap pam pow, he hit the villain.
So I was kind of curious about that, but then became a conceptualized comic in 1931. But the Shadow is really interesting to me because he is like the grandpappy of this Batman archetype. So he's a wealthy man with a troubled past that then uses his skills to
have a particular set of skills that I know to.
And so it has this like DNA, like even for our Fallout fans out there, the Silver Shroud.
Yeah.
Or even going back to the Batman thing. I didn't see this mentioned anywhere, but the animated show Bruce is inspired by the Grey Ghost, who's definitely an homage to the Shadow. So yeah, he's been in the shadows.
You come in the shadows.
You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
Which one of these holes do you breathe out of?
Now you have my permission to cry. You totally derailed me. But yes,
I'm really loopy today,
inspiration for the dark Avenger type.
Yeah, the dark vigilante.
The dark vigilante. But what's also kind of interesting, and I think this is from more of like a film observation, is that what I really thought was interesting about this movie is the fact that, so you have this character created in the 30s that inspired all this other stuff. And then all this other stuff comes out, whether it be comic books and then even getting up to 89 Batman. And basically what you start seeing is it's like, okay, in this movie, there's definitely moments where it has the Batman feel, Tim Burton's Batman feel. But the Shadow was created before Batman. But that movie came out, so there's this weird kind of...
You can see where like the influence like of the Shadow... Because like a lot of audiences at this time seen Batman first, obviously.
Yeah.
We're more familiar with Batman because Batman obviously being more recent.
Time period relevant for certain ages.
Yeah. So then to watch and see a thing like The Shadow, which predates Batman, and you see similarities, you see the similarities is the best word really, between like either the action, the hero, the narrative and whatnot, and you're like, oh, then it's like, oh, this is it's like watching the prequel.
Yeah, but it's also like, you know, like even there's bits of Darkman, and there's just all this stuff that you can like kind of pull out. Basically,
with Darkman, that's interesting. If you read about that,
no, I did not.
Sam Raimi was originally on board to do The Shadow, and also Robert Zemeckis was in talks about like directing, and Sam Raimi was like developing and whatnot, and then that all fell apart, and so what Sam Raimi was working on for The Shadow, he just turned into Darkman.
That makes sense.
Right? Which also makes sense why I keep getting these two fucking movies and like characters confused.
Well, and it's like, I feel like if you like Darkman, if you like Batman, I think this is kind of the movie for you, especially if you're around our age and you're a 90s kid. It has that real 90s nostalgic feel to it.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways of that action movie. Is it great? No. But if you haven't seen, I had never seen it. I'm glad I watched it because it's just kind of
better than Batman and Robin. Well, it's not saying much, but
yeah, it's better than Batman.
Oh, it's much better than Batman,
but just not. It's just yeah. But yeah. So Walter B. Gibbons, who actually he passed away in '85, under the pen name Maxwell Grant, is the creator of The Chateau.
Yeah, he was also like when he switched to writing it in a literary form. Apparently, he was writing like 10,000 words a day.
Yeah,
he went like insane.
Yeah, and then they finally, to keep up with the demand of it, and they finally got other writers involved and everything. But it's like, it's a pretty fun dive into this. This character was just around for a really long time for a lot of stuff. There's even Dark Horse Comics.
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool to see a Shadow Batman crossover.
The Grey Ghost.
No, like actual
Shadow.
Yeah.
Batman number 253 to 259. Crossover appearance published in 1973 and 74, respectively.
Okay, that happened.
Batman and the Shadow, The Murder Genesis 1 through 6, 2017. If you want something more recent.
Man, we should find that.
Yeah, actually, let me just
bookmark of that. Yeah. Let's get into the actual movie though. And
nah, I don't want to.
So this version was directed by Russell Mulcahy. Mulcahy. Muckleberry. I don't know how to pronounce this last name, actually. But he's probably most recognized, or he directed a shitload of music videos for like Elton John and Bonnie Tyler.
Duran Duran.
Yeah, but then like he also directed Highlander, which I love that movie.
Yeah, I thought you'd be excited about it.
And Scorpion King 2.
What is that?
The Scorpion King?
Uh-huh.
Scorpion King.
Yeah. Mummy. Uh-huh.
Yeah. He directed the sequel of the
What
Scorpion
sequel?
King too.
Who's the Scorpion King?
Not The Rock.
Well, yeah, because they took that character from the Mummy Returns.
We talked about this in The Mummy. There's like 5 sequels to the Scorpion King.
I didn't remember then. I don't remember now. What of it? Oh, okay. Okay, this kind of sounds familiar.
What?
Well, the Scorpion King thing.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, there's like each movie has a different actor playing the Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 3 Extinction.
So, I mean, I feel like this was kind of like maybe at the height of his directing career from all of his like music video stuff. Oh, maybe Highlander was kind of more closer to that. Anywho, I don't know. It's like I couldn't really. He just seemed to be a body to direct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this was more of like the producer, and then the writer, David Koepp, kind of seemed to be more in control of stuff here. David Koepp, also known for writing Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Death Becomes Her.
Which we need to definitely do at some point.
Dude, yeah. Stir of Echoes.
I don't know what that is.
Stir of Echoes, Kevin Bacon. Ghost Story? Really? That surprises me, Mr. Kevin Bacon fan over here. It's a late 90s ghost horror movie. He's being like haunted by this young girl that was murdered.
Oh, I recognize the cover.
Yeah. I used to have it on VHS.
That are being hypnotized by sister-in-law. Man begins haunting visions of a girl's ghost, and a mystery begins to unfold around him. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I think you'd dig it. It's not like super, super good, but it's definitely...
It's got a 6.9 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those horror movies as a kid, I rewatched a handful of times because I really liked... it was like Kevin Bacon's performance in it was really good.
Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'm going to add that to my list.
But yeah, David Koepp also, like, while writing this screenplay, he would be on set, I read, and he would kind of like be adding little like humor to the movie depending on whoever the actors was, letting the actor's voice come through as the character. So like adding like humor into the script and whatnot with them, which is why I'm pretty sure Alec Baldwin had the line, "Well, my mind is very well endowed," or whatever the fuck it was.
Or
my psychic mind is very well endowed.
The next time you be on top.
Yeah.
After he murders someone.
What the fuck is
I'm like, what is that? It's like the booby thing in The Rocketeer. You know, you're like,
yeah.
it just stands out because the movie isn't built that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Deadpool where you're expecting him to say some
like
off the cuff.
I'm gonna put a chimichanga up there next time.
Yeah, you know, you're like, okay, that makes sense. It's Deadpool, but this is like the Shadow. But even the Shadow, we can get into that. But the whole Shadow's whole persona was all
you
over.
shot me in the dick. But yeah. Do you want to go into starring next then? Or do you have anything more you want to say about writer or director? Testing.
I think it's buzzing. Yeah, let's just go into...
Well, our lead star of the movie is Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, who plays Lamont Creston in The Shadow.
The Shadow. I can't tell if I like Alec Baldwin's acting or not. He's great in 30 Rock, I will say.
That's what I was thinking. It's like when I think of Alec Baldwin, I think of him in funny roles, and I think he's good at being funny.
Yeah.
But him serious, I can't really.
I can't take him serious.
And it might also be the whole family because, you know, with Alec, I think of Steven. Steven's real wacky, and I don't know.
Yeah, but what's weird is like when Steven tries to get serious, I feel like I can take Steven serious.
Which one's in Flatliners? Which one of the Baldwins? Is that Steven?
It's not Alec, I know that.
There's
a third one, isn't there?
Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember.
He's in a vampire movie.
That's even the problem.
Yeah.
That's also the problem with them too, is that they've been around for forever and they kind of all look similar, but they all just look like different stages of the same, like of life of the same person.
They're different Pokemon.
Yeah, it's the evolution of the Baldwins.
Stephen Baldwin is the start.
The baby. Yeah. No, because even then, think about Beetlejuice. Think of Alec Baldwin in Beetlejuice. When
I completely
really
forgot that was Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But it's like there's a time period where they all kind of look like that, and then they get older.
I think Stephen Baldwin is the one that stands out the most because he has lighter hair.
Yeah, lighter, and yeah, but I don't know. I mean, because even then, it's like 30 Rock, Friends. Like he was funny in Friends.
Oh God, what episode was that?
Fun with Dick and Jane.
That's right. He's the positive guy.
Yeah. Don't let the happy door kick you out in the happy ass on your way out, or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And we actually have talked about him too. So.
What?
Man, you're not good at this game. Spirits Within, episode 25.
Spirits Within.
Final Fantasy. It's like I'm the record keeper.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we talked about him years ago.
Whoa, I forgot. I mean, it's like I remember. I knew we did that movie.
That was
a
a fun episode, if I remember. That was fun talking about.
Well, because that movie just had so much history and like
and we were doing adult animation stuff.
Yeah.
That was I don't remember. Well, that was before we were rating it. I wonder what we would have given that.
Probably like middle row, like 2.5 probably.
I was thinking 3, just because it looked really good.
That story was really bad though. Anyhow,
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin also in trial right now.
Yeah. We're not gonna.
He was voice on Boss Baby.
He was in The Departed for 15 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you want to go to our villain next then?
Yeah. Dude.
John Lone.
Yeah, who's like really funny because I really recognize him, and it really is just from Rush Hour 2.
I don't remember Rush Hour 2 that well.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, well, I remember Rush Hour 1 a lot more. Which one? Hold on a second. Which one at the end of like the climactic like fight scene does Jackie Chan
Go down the slide.
the flag slide?
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
So I remember the first. There's a third one, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not very good. Well, you just can remember where they are because they're in LA, then they're in Hong Kong, and then they're in Paris, I believe.
Shanghai Nights. Sorry.
London.
Yeah, John Lone. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, if I was to rewatch the movie, I think things would click and whatnot. That's the only movie on his list that I would recognize him from.
Well, he was also part of the Peking Opera when he was a kid.
Oh, cool.
When he was 7, he was sent away to be trained with them. So that's kind of cool.
Go train with the opera.
From what yeah. But yeah, so...
he played... Which Khan? It's Shion Khan? It's not Genghis Khan.
Shiwan Khan.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I should have put that in part of the synopsis. Our villain is the descendant of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
That's what... yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was curious. Did you look to see if like from what I was reading, apparently Shiwan Khan was a villain in The Shadow as well.
He was. He was one of the big ones.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah. John Lone, also in War. Not a lot of acting credits. At least, well, what are we at? We're at 26.
Well, I mean, if he went to go study for like that, what you said he went to go study off for, that sounds like more like a live
Yeah,
performance
so
type
that's
thing.
what I was getting at. Is I feel like we're more of a live performer than a film performer. But yeah, and then our follow-up,
our love interest,
Penelope Ann Miller, who plays Margot Lane,
who looks like Naomi Watts half the time.
I could see that, yeah.
I was like, every time I was like, when she first came on screen, I was like, is that Naomi Watts was too young during this for this. That she's like 19, I want to say, during the filming of this, or like the early 20s.
Did she have a scar?
Penelope?
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
I kept seeing this. It was one of those like I couldn't tell. If
it could have just been like a deep like line.
Yeah,
smile
I couldn't.
Line, you know?
I couldn't tell. But yeah, Penelope, known for stuff like Kindergarten Cop, the artist.
I've never seen The Artist. Have you seen The Artist?
Yeah, it's great. Monster.
I don't remember her Monster.
No. Monster is the Jeffrey Dahmer show.
Oh.
Which I just found out while doing this too.
Oh, I forgot. I started watching that.
It's called Monster, a Jeffrey Dahmer story or something like that.
It's the one with Evan.
American History X.
American Horror Story
guy.
Yeah. Evan Peters, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Feels right.
just pictures.
Jesus.
And then I don't know. I kind of just was gonna go through honorable mentions at that point.
Yeah, like Ian McKellen.
Yeah, Ian McKellen, which was wild to me. He's just this bumbling scientist guy.
Such a good actor.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Oh my God.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Sir Ian McKellen.
I had a fun conversation with my coworker because he was like, Ian McKellen, you know, he's the wizard guy. And I'm like, wait, he's only the wizard in Lord of the Rings. He's like, Harry Potter? I'm like, he's not Dumbledore.
He's not either of them.
Yeah.
He's not either of the Dumbledores.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, he is. I'm like, no, he's not.
Promise you.
And then he's like, yeah, he's the wizard guy, Jacob. That's what he's known for. And I was like,
Yeah, Gandalf, you
Yeah.
uncultured swine.
yeah, pretty much. And then he looked up and he's like, oh, okay.
Let's not forget fucking he's Magneto.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, he actually forgot that. Kind of surprised by that. Yeah, so Sir Ian McKellen, Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
He's a cab driver.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, which is, this is weird.
Him being a sleazy, like him hitting on Penelope was really fucking funny.
Is he American? No, he's English.
He's English? Oh,
Well, he was born in Cheshire, England.
Huh.
I was wondering just because I was listening to him talk, and he's got this, you know, he's got that voice,
That Tim Curry voice.
and it's like an accent, but it's not an accent.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm just a
oh, and we did Tim Curry too.
transvestite.
Forgot about that.
Win!
Legend.
What?
Jesus.
Tell me we've watched too many
We've
movies.
watched too many movies. And there's some other people like extras that I recognize, but I feel like those are our three main because Peter Boyle is our sidekick.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen's our scientist that's going to cause the issue, and then Tim Curry's the right hand man guy.
He's the bad guy.
The toady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna be a king. And he looks like he's right out of Clue.
Holy shit, he does. Or Home Alone 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or Home Alone 2. Same outfit, pinstripe.
Yeah.
Like concierge. Like,
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Concierge.
Concierge. Is that what you have to do?
Concierge. I mean,
I'm gonna start doing that at hotels. Yeah, can you put me into the concierge?
I think it's a light concierge because it's a French word, isn't it?
Potato.
I don't know why that got me.
Because we were just talking about Gandalf. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into reviews. Give us our scores.
It had a 0 fall off everything. No.
One day.
IMDb had a 6.0, which I was like, okay, sure. And then when we got to Rotten Tomatoes,
What?
37% tomato meter
Okay.
and a 44 audience score.
Really?
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
surprising to me.
whoa, okay.
That's saying it's not. It's just, I find it so funny what the hill people will die on when it comes to their media. Mm-hmm. You know, me included.
Yeah.
Until we started doing this, and I had to go, I was wrong.
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. But it's like, it's just, we talk about it all the time. It's just nostalgia is such a powerful drug.
It really is. Yeah.
And the fact that people aren't chomping at the bits really like, that's what it is. It just didn't get enough circulation, I feel like.
This
Not
movie?
not enough people went to go see it.
I mean, I think even for the time, it's really not the best.
No, but kids now, like people,
Oh,
you know what I
see,
mean?
Yeah.
People around more my age.
Well,
that
but this
saw
wasn't.
it.
I don't think this wasn't really marketed for kids, though.
Oh, that's another point I wanted to make. I think that's what saves it, actually.
Well, I mean, I feel like something like this could be marketed towards kids closer in
Darkwing Duck.
today's age. Oh, Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck. Yeah, inspired by this.
Yeah.
You're thinking, yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
I mean, fuck, dude, just put a duck mask on him. Let's do this. But in the mid '90s, this isn't a movie that they're going to market towards kids at all.
No, but they could have. Well, they could have really dumbed
Well,
it
they
down.
would have. It would have been a completely different movie.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like,
I mean, to Disneyfy it and have the Rocketeer.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, well, then we would have the Rocketeer, and that's what I think. Like, this is kind of an example of what I was saying with the Rocketeers, that Rocketeer just adulted it up a little bit more. I think it would have been a success. Not a success, but I think it would have been better if it was more, all right, let's aim for the adults and let's make something a kid could watch. They kind of went to 50-50.
Kind of like, because I'm thinking about Batman, that first one, Tim Burton's.
Okay.
Because that was, I mean, just a huge, I mean, the marketing on that, I mean, it was just so surprising with everything. But it definitely wasn't marketed for kids. It was marketed towards adults.
Yes.
But it had such an energy to it, an aesthetic, that I guess maybe parents were comfortable letting their kids watch. This seems to just, it like, this lives in a world where it's like, as an adult, to be like, well, my kid's gonna find this boring.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah, because it is boring.
It's pretty boring.
While Batman is exciting.
Yeah. Well, good music and
yeah,
but it's like it's already kind of inherently juvenile is not the right word. I feel like that's too much negative context to it. But juvenile in the sense of like Batman. Batman at the end of the day is a comic book. Comic books were for kids. Mm-hmm. Those kids grew up and then started making comic books
for adults.
So then you start getting stuff like Ronin, Sin City, From Hell, so on and so forth. And that's kind of what is interesting about this is the Shadow inherently is a juvenile idea of adventure and fighting evil.
I'm going to look up the word, but I think the word you're looking for is infantile, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have it at a core, that's all it is. It's little kids playing cops and robbers, or you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that the core idea is childish enough that you can kind of run with it being more adult.
Yeah.
And I think the Shadow does that as opposed to the Rocketeer, because even then he kills Tim Curry's character by making him commit suicide.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, a couple people.
Yeah.
They have these mind control powers and they go jump off that.
Yeah. You know, that's a dark ass.
Like he's like, help me.
And then it's like, and then it cuts to Alec.
Anyway, so the bad guy's playing
like,
behind him.
It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, and that's what I mean by this movie has some like really wild like ideas.
Yeah. An infantile adjective characteristic of befitting an infant, babyish, childish, infantile behavior, synonyms, weak, immature, pure. Yeah. So maybe not infantile, but I think that's, I know where you're trying to say by juvenile. It's like it's young. The concept.
It's not a hard concept to sell to someone young.
No, and it's not a hard concept. It's also like it still feels like a concept that can be built upon, which is where Batman came from.
Yeah,
like Batman feels like a full fleshed out character.
Yeah,
you know, we know his. You know what's his name? Clement Lamont. Thank you, Lamont. It's two dimensional. He has money and he's a hero.
Yes. Well, and that's that's actually great because it has that pulp thing. That's everybody. Yeah. Everybody's like that.
It's like almost like a fucking like just lift up the sticker and put it on a new thing, you know?
Yeah, because it's like even Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen's character is the kind of eccentric scientist. That's it.
But these character tropes start from somewhere, you know.
Yeah, but again, it's like
it's fine, and we're at the beginning of that.
Yeah, and for what this is, it's fine. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's interesting with that though, because going into movies like this is to understand that that's why these characters are relatively shallow, and I think now a lot of like they would film that for the 90s, and maybe someone could be a little ahead of the time and be like, let's try and make these characters more flushed out. Like if The Shadow was to get made today, they would be like, okay, well, why is this guy the scientist? Why is he so he's quirky, you know? Why is the Shadow more like this? They would find ways to flush out the character more.
Yeah.
To break the audience's care more about it. So we haven't read one review yet, have we?
Excuse me. Sorry. So this has a 50 out of 100 on Metacritic, which comes to mixed or average, with 11 positive reviews, 17 mixed, and 2 negative. At the top of the list is our guy, Mr. Ebert at Chicago Sun-Times. If you respond to film noir, if you like dark streets and women with scarlet lips and big fast cars with running boards, the look of this movie will work some kind of magic. The story itself may not be so mesmerizing, but who really cares? Style and tone are everything with a movie like this, which wants to bring to life the dark secret place and the lurid pulp imagination. That's actually one of his better like tidbits.
What do you give it?
Give it 75.
Man.
That's just some good writing. I felt like if you like the dark streets and woman with scarlet, it's just very.
As you were saying it like that, I was sitting there thinking, like, isn't he Chicago? So he have like a Chicago accent.
But I mean, also that was the most animated I've ever read a review, I think, on this podcast.
That's very true too.
All right, going on down
Down the list.
where are you? Oh, funny, I didn't mean to do that. It's another Chicago writer. 50 out of 100. Michael Wilmington at the Chicago Tribune. The Shadow shows what can happen when you overdress pulp. You wind up with something gorgeous and suffocated, bejeweled trash floundering in its own oversplendid stuffings.
Oversplendid. What? Say that last part again.
Bejeweled trash floundering in its own oversplendid stuffings.
I want stuffing.
And that's what he got out of it. All right.
I kind of I see that one.
I picked this one for obvious reasons, but Owen Glibberman gave it a 25 out of 100 at Entertainment Weekly. The Shadow, like 1991's The Rocketeer, tries to pass off its retro thinness as a quasi-joke, but it's a desperate strategy. The filmmakers seem to be kidding everyone, the audience and themselves, and that just leaves us waiting for this particular flashback to fizzle away.
Damn, that's a... And I think that might be why I was kind of like, it was hard to watch this, because maybe we keep doing these like 4-movie block things, and we're like, we shouldn't do this, and then we do it again to ourselves.
I'm actually not tapped out, and I think it's because I really enjoy this. Yeah, see? And also, I have a carrot at the end of the tunnel. That was so wrong, but that works. There's a carrot down there. Don't talk to the carrot. But yeah, I just wanted to do the Phantom, so we're finally doing the Phantom. I'm happy. Like, just gotta knock this shit down. But yes, I do really think that from now on, I think the general rule should be 4, mainly because it happens to happen to me too. You get checked out. It becomes just too much. I do think it was really cool though that we did these because they're such different styles.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, and then we did them in order of when they came out, so it is kind of cool to see the evolution of them, because from what I remember, say what you will about the Phantom, I remember it being very clean. It's very packaged nicely, very wrapped, crisp.
They were selling it to kids.
Yes, it's a very like, it's all these like lead up, and it's this very neat little package they give you.
We're not talking about the Phantom yet. We haven't watched.
This is a step, yes. I swear to God, if this better not ruin that movie for me. Better not read nothing or see nothing.
Here's my note. I was so disinterested.
All right, thanks for listening.
Okay. There's moments. Okay, so I really enjoyed the when he would move into the shadow and use his telekinetic powers. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like it when his uncle, who's like the police chief or something.
Yeah, which convenient.
Yeah. And he's like, this shadow is a character we're gonna put the entire police force.
Jedi mind tricks him.
Yeah, and he's like, you will not send out the police.
See,
you will forget about the shadow.
See, it's stuff like that. It's like, so whenever they're using their powers, so both him and this Khan character, this descendant that is going to fulfill his ancestors' plan to finally.
What was the character, or the name that Khan kept calling him? Lo P. Do you remember?
Oh, his birth name?
Yeah.
Oh no, his evil warlord name.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. I meant to write it down, but I kept forgetting.
It's also like, so is that what the beginning of the movie was? Was that person was it like a passing of the power type thing?
I don't really understand that part of the movie.
Because that's I kept getting to thinking back. I was like, why, other than it's like, you will redeem yourself, Lamont, or whatever the fuck his name is.
And it's just like,
what's happening?
Casually in conversation, it like is kind of brought. So basically, after World War One,
yeah,
he went AWOL for a few years and just ended up in Asia as an opium drug lord. With
looks like North China,
with like no real anything about why and how that happened.
And then we got Benny Wong at the beginning.
yeah. You're like, it's like that dude is like Sean Connery. He got to a certain age and then he just stopped. He just went, and I'm good here.
Yeah,
like he just always looks the same. But yeah, which I thought was funny. I mean, he is kind of ruined for me. Anyways, we're not getting into that. Like, that's a rabbit hole. But yeah, so he's like this opium dealer. Which that whole intro really piqued my interest a lot.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Like, what's going on? We're in Asia somewhere.
I got a little. It lost me when the dagger started flying around.
Well, I also like that he shows up and he's like, I want to be on the opium trade too. Now Baldwin's like, no. Or Lamont.
Actually, I know exactly where I checked out. Because, yeah, if they would have just kind of kept it, maybe shown, like, they give a little bit more explanation of, like, because it just shows this like weird. This is what I was like mentioning. Like this has got a little bit of like racist undertones. Is the mysticism of these ancient Chinese people giving the power to a white man type thing. It's a very I
mean, they gave the power to an Asian guy.
Yeah.
But then he abused it
because he was a descendant of Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
because he's inherently evil.
Isn't there a lot of descendants of Genghis Khan floating around out there?
I mean,
isn't that the thing?
Yeah.
I've heard that and I've never once fact checked that. I don't know.
It's relatively accurate. It's obviously, embellished, but anywho, but like it goes like it has this whole thing of like, and he's going to now get the powers. And then it cuts to a fucking scroll of like, and then the shadow was born, and then he went to another city with the darkest city that we can imagine, New York City. I'm like, that scroll was like yeah. I'm like, what? Okay. And then you see Alec Baldwin fighting, saving a man and the shadow, and disappearing and appearing, fighting the guy, and with the weird prosthetic makeup. Which
nope, Your Honor.
Oh, sorry.
I object. That is one of those interesting ideas that I was like, that's a cool idea and concept that. So the Shadow has these mental powers. That's his whole thing. Mm-hmm. He's not actually doing anything like disappearing into shadows. He's
making people think.
He's an illusionist, which that's a cool concept.
Like Paul Giamatti, yeah.
Yeah. What? You mean Edward Norton?
Paul Giamatti's in that too.
Yeah, but Edward Norton's the illusionist, whatever.
I really haven't watched that movie in such
a long time. Shut the fuck up.
Like Hugh Jackman.
That works better. Stop derailing me.
I'm sorry. He uses mental powers to.
Oh yeah, he uses his mental powers to like give the illusion that he's a supernatural being. That's cool. The whole putting on the costume and he changes his face because let's be real, it's a scarf over his mouth, and it's like that's not really going to hide your identity, which is always the Robin thing, or the Superman thing.
I was just about to say, or the Zooey Deschanel.
Oh, the Zooey Deschanel thing. Bangs go a long way, but I thought it didn't look great because it started looking real Dick Tracy-y.
Yeah, I really did.
But I thought the concept was cool.
What's really weird is like with that prosthetic on his face, how they like molded it.
He looked like Liam Neeson.
He looked like it looked like Ian McKellen. Like under as well. And I was like, wait a second. I know Ian McKellen's in this. Because also, I don't think I actually had seen this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I also, now that we're like talking about his nose specifically, and then I made the joke about Liam Neeson, I am thinking about his nose. He has a really like sculpted nose.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like a real like nose on him. I just kept seeing Liam Neeson, and maybe it's the Dark Man thing.
Could be.
That was just the wiring.
Sam Raimi really took an idea.
He fucking ran. Because even that too. Then this whole scene when we're meeting the Shadow, I'm sorry, I don't really know what it was supposed to do, but the whole him just giggling and laughing at the chasing after these criminals was so irritating to me. But it was very Darkman, the whole talking shit to them thing that he was doing. So yeah, I think Sam Raimi really did run with it.
Fair, yeah.
But yeah, like that's my, or even whenever they use their powers and he gets these Khan gets the red eyes and then he gets these like white light sparkly eyes when they're using their powers.
I just saw they just turned black.
That was what I was confused because there's a moment they look like they're black and there's a moment they look like silvery, whatever.
I think it was like they went kind of blackish, but then there's a sheen
on it.
Yeah,
but I mean, every time they're doing that,
sheen. I am using my psychic powers.
But every time they're doing that, I just heard Kill Bill. But yeah, it's like, and, there's other, that's the thing is like the core idea. Then the Shadow was a bad man, so he's
on a redemption quest,
but he knows the inner working. So everyone he saves, he forces into a life of servitude for the greater cause of defeating evil. Otherwise, because there's this underlining or else kind of vibe to it, where you're kind of like, oh, he saved it.
What was the phrase? The sun is shining today, or
but the ice is slippery or some shit.
The ice is slippery on the slope.
Yeah, you're like,
it's in 1930s. Like, ooh, it's a secret.
they all get Dakota rings.
Yeah.
But I liked that. Like, I like that super pulpy kind of. It's cool in the sense of a concept. They just didn't super execute it well.
Yeah. Well, I guess also, is it maybe even for the 90s, the idea of pulp comics and what they were is just outdated?
I mean, yeah. I think it's outdated because it's also they're for especially in Hollywood, the 1930s, 40s, all of this almost like golden age, quote unquote, of Hollywood.
The talkies, yes.
And it was prim and proper. We talked about it too. It's like this is a time where you're talking about where movie stars are royalty at this point,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just enough time has passed and we've learned enough to know about what was actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
The glamour faded, so it's like you watch it and it still has that great look with the car.
The man behind the curtain was revealed.
Yeah, so it's hard to look at it without this kind of wasn't great. Like wasn't that good. So it's like when you go back, it still has like the clothes are all the clothes are all great. The cars look cool.
Well, I mean just like stylistically as an art form and like container, like a presentation of like watching like or reading like a pulp comic. It has its nostalgia, but like to try to like recreate it for the 90s and even for today, it's kind of like you're just kind of bringing it up to light. You're not trying to do anything new or different.
Yeah,
with it.
Kind of not rehashing it.
It's like you're not trying to. And this is what they were. And this I think what's probably the failure for a lot of these. Like they weren't trying to re-inject it with life. They were trying to bring it like show a dead body. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They're Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Back.
That's such a really funny analogy.
We're still here. Well, then I also think that with this one that is kind of setting it in New York kind of, I think, backfired for them because like Dick Tracy and the Rocketeer and everything, it's like Dick Tracy's in its own little snow globe on a desk of Batman. You know what I mean? It's like its own little.
Well, and like for that, the only reason if you feel the Batman and Dick Tracy movie is because of Danny Elfman. Sorry.
That's not even that. I know the Batman.
Here or there.
It's not. It's just like it lives in its own little world.
Yeah.
And then Rocketeer, same kind of thing. It lives in its own world. It's still in our world.
Is it?
But yeah. But is it? But then this, you jump to New York City, and they just.
It's a fictionalized New York City.
Yeah, and that's what kind of pulls you out of it because it's like even it's such clearly a backlot. Like there's scenes where he's driving around in the city that never sleeps, and there's no one on this backlot. There's no extras, there's no garbage, there's no cars, and you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, this doesn't feel real anymore. I kept noticing that. Like there was just moments where the backlot was just empty pretty much. You're like, well, no, this is New York City. Like, where's the grime? Like,
Where are the homeless people?
Tim Burton's Batman felt more like New York City.
Well, you got to think this is New York City 1930s as well.
Yeah. It's still New York City.
You don't know what were you there 1935?
I'm a time traveler and I just don't know it yet. I'm convinced of that.
All right, show up right now.
It's not how it works, obviously.
Oh my God.
How weird would it be if
Right on the podcast.
One of us just comes in and is like, you're gonna cause it. We are total losers.
We really don't want to talk about this.
No, I do. I'm just having fun.
No, I like I said, I'm in a loopy mood today. So,
But it's even like, I just think there's just stuff I like. Like, I do like that pulpiness, and he has that guy hidden in the walls that's sending out messages through the tubes. And then there's that scene where it's following the tube and it's utterly ridiculous.
I do not remember that scene at all.
What? Yeah, there's a man with his decoder ring and he's in the center of the city and they all send messages to get to the shadow.
I must have been looking at my phone.
Oh, well. That was cool.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's just, those air, those.
Oh,
pipes.
okay, yeah.
It's like those, and there's this guy that he's the.
Well, it's
the collector of the messages.
It's a fun idea. It's fun to think that New York City has like that secret, the hero has the secret stuff throughout the entire city.
Yeah, the Batman thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because this fictional idea, But I mean, because that's also like it's very 1930s for that, for pulp in general. It's like in this we're in a real world, as opposed to with action comics or even just like detective comics, the originals. Like Batman, they were creating fictional worlds for these fictional characters to live in. Mm-hmm. Pulp comics were like this is the real world, and imagine if it was fantastical like this,
Yeah.
Silence.
It seems cool when he takes off his face.
That was okay.
That was just a cool effect.
I remember that. That's like in one of the trailers, I want to say. And when I was watching that happen, I was like, this is fucking crazy. And then it turns out to just be a dream. Well, I guess it's technically not a dream. I guess it's a moment of Khan. It's kind of like insinuating that Khan is like in. I can touch you. Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I got.
I can. Yeah, like infiltrating his mind. And then the woman. I like how she's like,
I hope you're wearing a condom. I have a dirty mind.
God damn it.
Too soon.
Oh, wow. Kesha changed the opening lyrics, apparently. Like, now
really?
When she performs it, she doesn't say,
oh, really?
Wake up feeling, yeah. Anywho.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
No, so, like, when he the first time he's trying to use his, telepathic, you will forget about the shadow. You will forget that you know me as shadow. And she's like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
What? I don't know what kind of women you date, but I don't fucking fall for that shit, bro. And he's just like, and then he gets the spook. He's like, she sees through me. I can't gaslight her. I can't gaslight her.
I think.
That's exactly his entire powers are just gaslighting
people. Well, it's just it's fun to. It's one of those. There's a couple moments in here that you can make some fun skits off of. Like even when he's talking to his uncle about, there is no shadow.
Yeah,
and then he leans back into the shadows, and you see his eyes start doing that trick. I just see a skit of someone else sitting on the other end of the table, like.
Yeah.
are you doing? And he's like, you do not know who the shadow was, you know, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like why are you looking at me like that? Who's the shadow? Exactly. But it's just like a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's just because of him too, but every time he got in the cab, to the sanctum, and I was like, shut up, shut the fuck
To the back cave.
Where else do you go? Don't pretend. You go to two places. You go to that fucking restaurant where you're always late with your uncle.
We're drinking 2 martinis.
We're drinking 2 martinis. Sir, calm down. I know it's the 30s, but still.
Damn.
Back to back. He's just like walking around with them double fisted. That's it. He's not even a superhero. He's just a drunk. Yeah, I can make people.
Like, dude, it's like 8 ounces of alcohol right there, bro.
It's like nothing. It's a breakfast. It's breakfast for him. Or he goes to the fucking sanctum, which I thought the sanctum. Yeah, like you're saying, the whole hidden thing inside the thing was cool. But you know, I don't know. There's just this level of it. It's kind of what I imagine people thought Michael Keaton was gonna be like in the Batman. You know what I mean? Where you're just kind of like, just because Alec Baldwin doesn't have that. He doesn't have that superhero vibe to me.
But this also isn't really your traditional type of. I really don't consider this as a superhero, as a hero. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, he's.
I'm going into my own brain's type of like delineation of like superheroes, like, you know, superhero like, you know, like Hulk, Fantastic Four, blah blah blah. And then there's this where I don't know. It's just like there's nothing really super about him because he's only saving. I don't know. It's my bone brain. I'm gonna stop talking about that. What did I want to say? You were saying Alec Baldwin, not.
He doesn't have that hero vibe to me, you know? And it might be because, you know, that's right there, you kind of maybe hit the nail on the head. It's like his greatest feat is gaslighting women. Well, that's just everybody.
Yeah.
Like just he's a grade A gaslighting.
That's all the Jedi mind trick is, just gaslighting. Yeah. Oh my God. Dude.
I just can't believe.
We have an entire generation of people.
I just can't believe the whole.
We got gaslit into thinking gaslighting was okay.
I do like, yeah, like how cool would it be just to go, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, we all wish we could do that. Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. How do you want me to respond to that? But like I just think it's like it's wild, the fucking killing themselves thing, because I just thought it was crazy because, and maybe that's the point, because Khan does it and you're like, because what does he say? He's like, oh, nice dress. And you're like, yeah, that's a rude thing to say, but I don't think jumping off the Empire State Building is the proper response to that.
Well, it's just show just how evil he is.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, that's the point, is to show how evil he is. And then you cut to.
Also, did you recognize that actor?
Yeah, who was that?
Oh
my God.
Sorry.
You bring it up to me like, I don't know.
I do. I swear. Mulholland Drive is the only one that's coming to mind right now, though. And I don't know if you've seen Mulholland Drive. Anyway. I don't know how much David Fincher you've watched. Not David Fincher.
Yes, I recognize him, but I forgot. Okay. But yeah, so he does that. You're like, oh, he's our big evil guy. And then granted, like the Shadow does it. And granted, it's to a villain, but
no. I was confusing with another actor. I thought he was in The Punisher, but he's not.
I'm seeing him being very creepy. Oh, Happy. Yeah, I know.
Oh, and I haven't
Happy.
seen all of Happy.
Yeah,
okay.
I know he's in Happy, and he's creepy in that. But yeah, and then it's like, granted, you do it to a villain, but it's still like. I did like that scene when he's like shooting. Tim Curry's like shooting around, and there's like a really weird, unnerving shot that they did for some reason, right over his head, and he's all sweating, and he's like, "Come out and like fight like a man, sissy." And he's just like kind of losing it. You can tell he's kind of spiraling out of fear. I just thought that was a cool scene.
Was that the end?
There's
towards the end.
The end, and then and then he runs away, and then the Shadow's like, there's your exit. There's just a window, and he just swan dives out of it. And I was just like laughing the whole time. I was just like, that's really dark. And it's kind of weird because this movie does feel like it's more for adults in that sense. This might kind of seem contradictory, but it's like, we didn't go that far with the shadow. So it's like, it's kind of like the booby joke of the Rocketeer. It's really out of left field for him just to be like, because the only time he killed, I remember him killing someone else was in a fight.
You're talking about the shadow killing, having him kill himself.
Yeah, it's just, you're kind of like
the hero doing it. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's a reminder of like, he used to be a bad guy once that fought on horseback.
But he's supposed to be on an atonement, redemption tour.
I'm still really fucking confused about this whole drug lord thing. I really wish they had spent just a little more time kind of
building that, fleshing it out.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's like, is this a flashback? Is this an like past life? Is this a like?
Yeah, because isn't it like he does like he was disappeared. He disappeared for 7 years.
Yes, that's what his uncle said.
Ah, God.
And then even that too,
I need 2 gin martinis. Come on, let's just fucking.
Well, even that whole thing too, like even with kind of you're saying too with her psychic powers, that's even not really.
It's not even explained. It's like when I was a kid, I could hear my friend's thoughts or my cousin's thoughts. Oh, I haven't had that in a long time. She's spooky.
With you, I can do, and it's just and it's like that's all well and good. That I mean, I guess it really is just the fact that telekinesis exists in this world. And she just has it, but they were trained.
She's got the shining.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And I liked how they ended it with Khan's in his uncle's tomb to absorb his power
In the multiple mirror faceted mind box.
Yeah, and you're just like, sure. All right, that's cool. I just realized there's just a lot of... Doesn't even Khan makes that dude shoot himself in the head?
I don't remember that.
What? It's when you first meet him. It's the security guard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just realizing, like, that was kind of his move.
Just make people kill themselves?
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking dark. And then again, like
I just didn't register until now.
And that's why I get like just like this entire tone of the movie. There's no way they could market this for kids.
It would have been fun for them to. That'd have been cool. Be like, psych, pull the rug out.
We're at like 6:02. We should be wrapping up.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like how they ended it with Khan though. Like they just fucking lobotomized him. That was cool. Yeah. I was like, whoa. Because it's the way they shot it too. Because you could kind of see that. I was like, there's something weird going on with his hair. Because you're looking at him here,
yeah, and
then he turns and there's just this. Yeah, and the doctor just real casually like, we took out part of your frontal lobe. Nothing you need,
unless you believe in telepathy. And then he walks out, and then there he comes, Alec Baldwin, like. Yeah, did the thing, and no, I'm sorry, no, he has the ring, so it's like, oh, he fucking knows what he did. It's really, I just loved that dialogue of just casually telling a patient you took out part of their brain. Like Planet of the Apes. What'd you do to my friend?
Yeah. Like, and the whole atomic bomb thing.
Oh yeah,
was really weird.
Making a Chinese or not Chinese. Yeah, I guess he might have been Chinese, but making an Asian person explain and like develop a atomic bomb, even though McKellen was making. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the weird thing that I saw?
I see it, but I don't know. I'm like,
I was just kind of like, this is fucked up.
I mean, the time period, the atomic power time period, it just wasn't. So just, I mean, we can wrap up in a second, but just to clarify, it's like he was basically gonna blow up New York to show everyone what he could do and hold the world ransom, right? That's kind of what the gist was.
I guess.
They never really explain it, but that was because he even asks the Tim Curry character, oh, you can build these for me whenever I need. So I think that's the grand plan.
Yeah, I mean, it is for world domination.
Yeah, I just didn't really understand the whole blowing up New York just to blow up New York thing.
Well, you blow up one of the biggest, most powerful cities in the world. You show how powerful you are into the world. Therefore, the world will bow to you. You know.
Yeah.
It's a very it's a cliched thing.
pulpy, yeah.
1930s. In the 1930s, people were like, "Oh my god, that's the most evil thing I could ever think of."
It's just weird because it has this idea of like spiritual fantasy to it in a lot of ways, and then it just veers real hard into this science bomb thing. It's like almost like it couldn't.
Why not both?
I think you can do both. I don't think it blended them very well.
Eh.
Saying that though, I thought this movie was very fun in the sense of I liked a lot of the visuals they were doing.
Okay.
And it's just that pulp.
I mean, this movie carries on its own in its own right. It's kind of like with The Rocketeer, like what we said. It has a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's
I think this one has a very clear identity.
Yeah.
It's pretty comfortable in what it is.
Yeah. It doesn't really flesh out a lot of things. There's a lot of just like eating the carrot. Accepting the world.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. It just kind of
like the French language.
Any chance he gets, jab at the French. One day, just like we're walking down the street and someone comes up and is like, "Are you Jacob?" And you're like, "Yeah." What? I bite my thumb at the because they're French and I don't know. I want to see you get slapped by a French dude.
He takes off his glove. I challenge you to the dude.
I mean, the bite the thumb thing would be pretty funny. I think that would floor me pretty hard. Like, honestly, they're like, did that dude seriously just bite his tongue? The thumb.
I'm like, all right, Shakespeare, God.
All right. What are we giving it?
I don't know. What did we give Rocketeer 2.5? I feel like this is on par with Rocketeer.
I think we gave Rocketeer 2.5. I would give it a 2.
Really?
2.25. Oh, let me think. 2.5 because I did enjoy this more than Rocketeer.
Fair. And like, I don't think there's anything. It's so middle of the road. There was nothing like. I just wasn't interested. I wasn't very interested in this, but there was nothing extremely inherently horrible about this.
And it's again the bones are there. It's just
there was nothing inherently amazing about this. It's just kind of like I watched it and it was
this is better than The Spirit.
Yeah. And I was kind of like, I guess I could, it's like you finish it. It's like, I guess I'll go take.
What was the deal with The Spirit again? Was that based on? I don't remember. Because we didn't bring up The Spirit as a shadow character.
I don't remember.
Anyways,
isn't it Frank Miller?
Well, no, I thought that was like in just when everyone was trying to do the Frank Miller thing.
I feel like The Spirit is Frank. I think
it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we 2.5?
Yeah, I'm done for the 2.55.
All right. We will let everyone go. This is in the book. But yeah, we're gonna finish up this pulp comic block next week with one of my personal favorites growing up, The Phantom.
It was one of my favorites as a kid growing up as well. I had the Phantom ring.
Oh, nice.
I had the skull ring.
I always wanted one. I was looking for a T-shirt to order to wear to it, but I can't find any.
Sad.
But yeah, so we're gonna do The Phantom. I'm very excited for that, and because I've been trying to get to do that forever, and we finally.
It's weird. It's like when we were first talking about starting this podcast, our first block was like, well, let's do a fun superhero pulp thing. Maybe we can do like The Shadow, and we can do The Phantom. And 200 almost episodes later, here we are.
Here we are. So that is The Shadow. Gave it a 2.5 out of 5 carrots. Like and follow. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You'll see our promotions there for what's coming up weekly. On all those posts is a link to our link tree where it will show you our links to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and then join us next week for The Phantom.
The Phantom.
Anything to add?
Nah.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy Jacob's Mixtape. Bye, everybody.
Nah.
And The Shadow.